Coach, you put out those great videos on YouTube on the For the Bloggy channel. And your most recent video, you took a look at Penn State's incumbent. He's going to be the starter this coming year, and that's Drew Allar. Let's start with this. We all know he's a big kid with a big arm, but he's got a lot more going for him than that, right?
Really what I thought about Drew was his ability to maneuver the pocket. You know, a lot of big guys struggle with the footwork and they struggle finding their way through the pocket. I was really impressed just watching the plays that he had, watching the fact that, you know, even thrown in as a true freshman, he's 18 years old, getting out there in the Big Ten, playing football games in front of 60,000 people. And, you know, he made some freshman rookie mistakes, I guess you could call them. But for the most part, man, his ability to maneuver a pocket, feel pressure, step up, keep his eyes downfield, those are things that those aren't true. Those are hard to teach. Those are a feel, right? You know, they talk about how a guy that's got it. I think Drew has it when it comes to some of that.
And when you talked about his positive traits, one of the things that you pointed out was his accuracy. And a lot of times that gets lost when you just see, again, a big kid with such a strong arm. I got to think that accuracy is as important a trait as you're going to find for a quarterback.
You know, I had an old coach, coach at BYU tell me, he said, you know, you don't make quarterbacks. You know, kids can throw a ball or they can't, right? Like if I line up a bunch of seventh graders in front of each other and just start having them throw to each other, you can tell who's going to be able to throw the ball. And it's a natural thing to just be able to have that understanding of depth perception, proprioceptive skills, and he has it. You know, when his feet are consistent, his ball placement is very consistent. I've seen some quarterbacks where their footwork was very efficient and very consistent, but they're at the end of it all, they really weren't a totally accurate passer. And so what I've found with him is, you know, his footwork is truly, I think, the segue to his arm. I think that, you know, when he is in a rhythm with his feet and he steps up and he keeps his base, I really start seeing those accurate throws that he delivers.
You also pointed out a couple highlights, which I found interesting, especially for such a young quarterback, where there were instances where he went through his progressions, had multiple looks, then was still able to throw the ball on the mark to a player who hadn't broken open yet. Mm-hmm. That's not typical of a freshman, is it?
No, in fact, that's not typical of a lot of quarterbacks. You know, a lot of quarterbacks, you know, when you look at progress and you look at the way things work with the quarterback and the way that he reads a play, a lot of coaches look at different things. You know, you've got the four vertical guy who's trying to find windows and things like that. You've got guys that are looking at different levels. You know, yours just does a lot of levels where he tries, you know, like he'll look for the flat to the intermediate out to the deep out, whatever it might be. And his ability to check from 1, 2, 3 and throw those on time and get his feet underneath himself is really impressive. He threw a couple benders. Some people call them digs. He threw a couple benders and digs right over the middle right in front of a safety as a backer is expanding to his hook to curl. The kid starts to break it, and I can already see that his hips are there. His arm is breaking. His front arm is breaking from the ball. He's driving his hips into that throw. And that kid hasn't even turned his head yet, you know, and you know, a lot of times, you know, I'll be honest with you, I'll use a personal example. I actually think I broke a kid's nose the other day throwing a ball to him because I'm trying to teach these kids, you know, you've got to get your eyes around. You got to throw this thing on time. You can't throw to an open receiver. You have to throw a receiver open. And, you know, and he does a very good job of that. And I know guys like Yurcich are, you know, licking their chops knowing a kid can see a window before it happens. So,
all right, we talk about a lot of the positives, but there are a few of the negatives that you point out. But the good thing is it sounds like they're fixable items. Let's talk about his footwork, which you talked about, Coach.
Okay, so the thing about a kid like that, okay, is when you look at a quarterback and when you want to talk about accuracy. So when you teach a quarterback how to throw, the first thing you have to look at is his footwork. And because there's a lot of things that happen, but when you throw, it's about being in a base and having good sound base, good sound fundamentals of your feet so that your hips can open. You know, it's like a baseball pitcher. You know, a pitcher, the good thing about a pitcher is he's always on the mound. He has the same base, he has the same stance, he has the same drive, and that's why he can be so accurate with his pitches. but there's also that reason why the shortstop who's throwing off the side of his hip and he's trying to sidearm something over there to the first baseman because he just got something off of one skip, it's different. So it's not going to be perfectly accurate. So what people understand is when you're consistent with your footwork, the consistency in your arm and the accuracy at the end result is going to be there. And he really does struggle a little bit with it sometimes. Sometimes there was one real one, I forgot who they played again. He throws like a now screen, like a little smoke screen to the boundary, right? It's a 10-yard throw. And he sails it, right? That's definitely a freshman mistake. And those are the things that you look at and say, you can't do that, right? But then I go see him throw a 15-yard dig route because his feet are set. He just strikes that thing in there like a money ball. And it's like, okay, he's got it. He just has to get consistent and comfortable with his feet.